Omar?
Oh, pretty good.
Good.
Good. Okay, we're talking. All right, here we go.
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Showtime TV. I'm your host, Omar Rashada. Today is the last day celebrating Women's History Month, and I have some distinguished guests. Everybody knows them. They're so famous. Everywhere they go, they get stopped. People want their autograph. We have Antionette Blake and the author, Elizabeth Perkins. Ladies, good evening and thank you for being here.
Good evening. How are you?
All right. Okay. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. It's a beautiful day today. All right. So we're going to start off with Elizabeth. If you two ladies can just introduce yourself and just give a background in terms of if you want to do your educational background and or your work background.
Okay. I'm Elizabeth Perkins. I'm an author. I am also the founder of Crimes Against Women and Children. And also I have a talk show, but because of COVID, we're not doing anything right now.
Right. Okay, Antionette.
Good evening, Omar, and let me thank you once again for having me on your show. I've been following you for years. I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. Most of you know the Delaware blogger, the DE Diva, aka the Delaware blogger, award-winning blogger, and podcast host, as well as the social media manager, CEO of A. Blake Enterprises, social media marketing and consulting. And, Elizabeth, you got to get on the podcast, with COVID is not going to stop us. We got to keep keeping on.
A lot of people are telling me to do that.
Well, I teach it, so we will talk offline.
We sure will.
Okay, I want to ask you ladies, both of you ladies involved in the media, social media and television. I want to ask you ladies, start off with Antionette. What drew your interest in wanting to be part of the media?
Well, Omar, it's funny that you asked that. And that's a really good question because initially that was not my intent. Actually, YouTube scared me. When YouTube was around back in 2007, I believe I started my channel, but everything I did was behind the scenes. I'm an educator, naturally an educator by trade. So I enjoy teaching people, but not being up in front of the camera. But once I did and started blogging and podcasting, now you cannot put a camera in front of me that I don't love.
That's great. Okay, Elizabeth, same question.
What made me get into it because I'm a survivor and I do advocate for women and children. So I wanted to be a voice for women and children that are have been assaulted in some kind of way or have been abandoned or in foster care. So I wanted to be a voice and a beacon for women and children. And so I wrote my book, which is Testament of a Child. And then I started my foundation, which is Crimes Against Women and Children, because I wanted to help women in transition, because I know that when you are in a Salvation Army housing, you've got 30 days. So my concept is to build a foundation that would give families and women in transition a year to be able to live and get themselves together in a for us, by us community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, both of you two ladies are also authors. Elizabeth, I'm not sure you probably wrote about 4, 5, 6 books. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I know you got a book out there, Antionette. So let's stay with Elizabeth. Talk about the name of your books and what they're about.
Testament of a Child is my first book, and it is to heighten awareness of child abuse. And my second book is The New World, The Chaos Begins, and it's talking about how our world is changing with the racism and things that's going on today and happening now in our world. And also my third book is, and I just published that. I am myself publishing. So it's called Journey of Faith, and it's my journey, and it's my journey into what I've been dealing with and living with from a woman's standpoint when it comes to women in the community and how we are treated as women, and for us to put on our crowns and start respecting ourselves again.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Antionette?
Thank you, Omar. As you know, as an educator, I've written just two books. I'm not with Elizabeth, but I'll get there. My first book is Basic Blogging Tips for Beginners, because I actually started blogging in 2012, and it became my passion, and it became a way to fill a void after the death of my grandmother. Similar to Elizabeth, but not parallel. As a women, we have so much. We're nurturers and we care for people.
Yes.
And so, I was caring for my grandmom. It was always like, she raised my sister, myself, and then I kind of jokingly raised her the last 16 years of her life, and she lived to be 98. And once she passed on, she had a beautiful life, but once she passed on, I found that I had a lot of extra time. And I remember a girlfriend saying, that means you gave her a lot of time. So as someone that enjoyed teaching blogging and writing blogging and, blogging, I just put together a culmination of what I was teaching at the various libraries. And then when the podcasting bug hit me, I was like, whoa, I can teach others how to start a podcast. So I created what's called a resource guide, Podcasting Your Purpose Resource Guide. And that's actually on Amazon. And I have edition number 2. I'm waiting for it to be proved so that I can upload that, because, social media is a great way to connect. It's a great way for people to share and care and leave a legacy. So if I can help someone, whether it's with their blogging or, because like Elizabeth said, we have a lot on our minds, and sometimes just writing it out, and she could probably attest to it, journaling. And that's what blogging is. And when you can connect with others and help others, it's a beautiful thing. So, I write about blogging and podcasting, and I just naturally love to educate.
Now both of you ladies, did both of you self-publish?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the rationale in terms of self-publishing versus going to a publisher? Stay with Antionette.
Thank you, Omar. As a matter of fact, and Elizabeth probably can tell you more on this, so I'm not going to take up a lot of time, but I didn't realize that you could self-publish. That's how, I was such a novice. I was like, oh, really? And I had actually, was going to hire an agency to do it. And I said, you know what, let me just, let me go to YouTube University. Let me Google this. Let me see what people are talking about. And I started, and I'm like, oh my God, this is easy. This is like so easy. All you have to do is write it out, upload the PDF, add your images, send it to, upload it to YouTube or upload it to, whatever business, and they print it for you. And I'm like, whoa, if I had known this, I probably would have written earlier in my life.
Yeah.
But I found it to be, I don't think a lot of people know that, Elizabeth, you can chime in. I don't think a lot of people know that it's just writing and uploading, and you're an author.
Yeah, exactly. And my take on it was, my first book, I spent $7,000 to do my first book with a publishing company, and they took me through so much after my book was written. And it was like they wanted me to refashion it to fit their company, and I didn't want to do that. So I looked into self-publishing. I love self-publishing. It cuts out the middleman, and I do that now with TikTok, because I TikTok a lot, and I use that as also my foundation to bring awareness to child abuse in general, and sexuality and things like that. But I also sing and act there too. So I'm using that as a pathway. But I have, in meeting people, I have helped them do self-publishing in their book, and it's a very easy way to do it. You can go to CreateSpace and log in your information, your bank information. Every time you sell a book, it goes to you, and they go right to Kindle. So that way I can go on YouTube, or I can go, as I say, TikTok, and I can promote myself and promote the book and where to get it, and still be able to sell my books. Because when COVID hit, I was like, what am I going to do? And I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to be authors, that don't know what to do and don't know how to create and go about it. And it's very easy. So I share a lot.
So let me ask you too, when you're writing your books, let's stay with being an author. Have you ever experienced writer's block, where you get stuck and you say, let me go back to this? Or, what do you do if you have a writer's block? How do you handle it? Marcella?
I handle writer's block like this. If I have writer's block, so okay, right now I'm gonna tell you, I have 5 different entities that I'm working on. When I have writer's block for one book, I might have a concept for another book, so I'll go back working there. But I understand when you get writer's block. For me, when I lost my son, I did get writer's block and I kind of stood off of it. But I always let people know, if you get writer's block, if you can't think of it again, it's like an artist when he is sketching his photos. If you cannot see the image anymore, let it rest and come back to it. Writer's block does not mean I'm done. It just means take a minute, go back and go again on your thought process, and then come in with a fresh pair of eyes.
Mm-hmm. Antionette, so when you're writing both of your books, did you experience writer's block at one point?
You know what I found, as because mine are more resource guides, I was hit with what's called imposter syndrome. I'm like, it's out there. Someone else has already written it. And then I said, wait a minute, hold up. Nothing that has ever been written hasn't been written before, but it's the voice behind the book. It's the voice behind the radio show. It's the voice behind, it's the personality. People will buy your book. I mean, how many versions of the Bible are out there? How many versions of the Holy Quran is out there? But you're going to buy because the cover is this big. So I said, you know what? I got to stop worrying about what someone else has written. And I have to put my spin on it, my words, the way I would do it. And because you're going to come to me because you like me, it's my personality behind the book, not the book itself, not the content. And so once I got rid of the imposter syndrome, saying, well, it's already out there and Joe Schmo from Idaho already wrote it. It's fine. I just keep going. But like Elizabeth says, you'll get to a point and it's like, okay, I'm finished this chapter. I want to do the next, and it's just not reading right. So then you got to put it away, let it marinate, then you pick it back up. And that's why like I said, I've had this done since December, but it's marinating. And here's April. So, but the content hasn't changed, it's, like I said, you just put it aside, you let it marinate, and then you bring it back.
Yeah.
So with being a self-publisher, did both of you ladies have someone to edit your book, or you do the editing on your own?
I'm going to say I do all of my own editing, and I do all of my own covers. Like with my book, Journey of Faith, I did my own cover. I did it in 3D. I did the book how I liked the book. A lot of people would, if you get somebody to do it, they're going to charge you for it. But if you know how to do pages or put something together, if you have an artistic eye to do it, you can do it and produce something very beautiful. But I wanted to also piggyback on what Annette was saying when it comes to imposter syndrome. When you're writing, it's also you have to be very leery of copyright laws. So as I did my book, A Journey of Faith, I took some things out of each denomination to bring us all together and one understanding of what it's saying. So therefore, when I did do that, I wrote from my understanding, and then I wrote, I just put in there the text where you can find it in your Bible if you would like to read your Bible with the book. And I always say, if you want to read, you're gonna love this book, but if you are a little leery about speaking of religion or thinking on other ideas of religion, which are all schools of thought for me, then please get your Bible out, and that way you can see where I'm coming from, and then you will then understand.
And I want to piggyback on Elizabeth, because it is so true. If you're going to get or use someone else's word, you're going to cite your sources, but you have to understand that each of us have a different definition. We grew up in a different environment. I'm a boomer. I grew up in the 60s in the projects in New York. So maybe something that I read, See Dick Jump, or, those kiddie books that we were forced to read. Now you look at it and like, wait a minute, this is a lot of racist stuff. So it's like, it's the way I'm going to interpret it. Now, back then I didn't know any better. Now that I know better, I do better. So again, with, if I have something and I'm reading it and and it's something that I, use from another author, I of course cite the sources, but I will put my own spin on it. Again, because there's nothing that's ever been written that can't be written again. And that is what's called revisions. But you let people know, this is, you're going to get the information because that's how you learned it. So now it's your interpretation when it comes to writing. You don't copy someone's work verbatim. You're writing it based on what you've learned. And if you've learned it from reading someone else, how can you separate it?
Exactly. And I always say, if we stick at Dick can run and Jane can jump, we will never graduate to where we are now.
Yeah,
I know those books. I think about those books that I read as a child.
Yes.
And, I had a conversation with someone about, the controversy about the cartoons, how now, they're canceling these various cartoons, and the person couldn't understand. And I'm like, look, dude, if you look at those cartoons now, you can see how racist they were. Tom and Jerry is like the most racist cartoon out there. They had a mammy who didn't have a face. She's running around like, and then the Black Crows. I mean, we can get into that. It's a whole different story for a whole different day. But you have to understand that that was a different time. So now that you've evolved,
yes,
or more educated, or even if you want to use the term woke, then you realize that's wrong. That was wrong. Pepe Le Pew was wrong.
yes.
That's it. He was jumping on people and he shouldn't have. So that's that.
Exactly.
And looking at those cartoons, a lot of them they show reruns like Flintstones, the Jetsons, Scooby Doo, and one of the things that I noticed is that there are no African Americans in those cartoons.
Exactly.
Tom and Jerry, none of that. I mean, when you're growing up and you watch those old reruns as a child, you may not notice that, but as an adult, you say, wait a minute, man, that's wow. I mean, it just went unnoticed.
Yeah.
Right. And there was no representation. And that's what's ingrained in the minds of so many people, because if all they see is that, and then when a African American or Hispanic or Asian is seen, it's in a negative light. That is all they know. You cannot fault them, but you need to educate them in that. I mean, Speedy Gonzalez, all those things, that was what you thought a Mexican mouse was. I mean, you just thought he was fast. He ate, hot food, and he was really, really fast. So when you see, a Latino or a Latina, that's what you think. If you see Little Black Sambo was turned into butter with the tiger, and all, I mean, if that's all you see, then that you don't realize that it's a whole different world out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. I was for a good minute, I was a talk show host on Channel 28. Marcella, you was my co-host at one point.
Yes.
And then things didn't work out after they changed leadership. You know the story with that. But so I got on Zoom, and when I quickly realized about Zoom, one of the advantages of Zoom is that I can interview people from all over the world, all over the United States. So I was like, man, I'm starting to like this. I mean, I do want to eventually go back to the one-on-one interviews, face-to-face interviews, if you will. But also, I want to keep Zoom because I mean, you gotta have people from all over the United States, all over the world. I mean, man, that is awesome. So, Antionette, with the podcast, do you also see that as being an advantage? Getting the opportunity to interview people from all over the universe.
And that is an excellent point. And if we don't realize what COVID has opened up, it's not negative. I mean, obviously, I'm sorry, and there's a lot of people that actually died from this virus, but if you don't see that this has been an opportunity for so many people to connect with others all around the world, all around this globe, to leave a legacy from the comfort of your home. Yes. So podcasting is a very powerful medium. And, as someone that teaches others and coaches others, especially my business, and thinking of authors, Elizabeth knows when we used to go and have book signings. We can't do those anymore. So why not create a podcast about a book or the chapters of the book or the creation of the book, just like the topic that we're talking about tonight. What you do when you have writer's block, what you do when you need to cite a source. All these things can be done on a podcast or Zoom. And it's a wonderful way in which to leave your legacy. And that is something that I talk about. So yes, podcasting is such a powerful medium. And I think any and everyone that has something to say, and most of us do, that we should be able to do this. And so Omar, when you do get back into the studio, continue with your Zoom, continue with your podcast, because people can consume media in any way that they want. They can, like right now, people may not have time because they're eating dinner or with the kids, but if you had a podcast, they could listen anytime. Some people would prefer a hard copy book. They want to read those words. So, there's so many different mediums out here that we can use to our advantage. And it would be remiss if we didn't do it, especially, during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, that is true. And I do miss the studio. And as Omar had said, and Omar was the first person to ever interview me. Let me say that.
Oh.
And I went from his interviewee, and then I was his co-host, to getting my own show on Comcast. So
okay, so now I'm jealous, Omar. I've been on your show like 20, 50 million times.
Well, you had the podcast. You was already set.
Yes, but I'm gonna tell you, with the podcast, there are so many sources. I have been interviewed several times on podcasts that I did have plenty interviews, and like I say too, there is also TikTok that I use, and I love acting, and Omar got me on the stage and then we were just at the Queen and at the
Baby Grand.
Baby Grand.
Mm-hmm.
He got me on stage and lights, and he got me into this thing. I'm like, I just want to be a writer, and Omar just put pebbles in front of me and I just kept climbing. But yes, I do believe that the sources that we have, and it's been on my mind to do a podcast, but I've been doing TikToking and singing and enjoying the friends, but then also there's a live there, and that I use my platform too as well. And people follow me there as well. And it's so fun. And as a matter of fact, I'm live here with TikTok while I'm doing this interview right now. So
good for you.
Yeah, so we're going to talk after this here, Antionette.
Yes, because you got to teach me about TikTok. I don't do TikTok. I'm not TikTok. And I just joined Clubhouse. So, you got to give me a minute.
Yes. And Omar, you would love it too, because you're such a great actor. And I think that you would love it too. And to have another avenue. And I tell people that's on TikTok and even on the podcast, this is another way of opening doors for people like us. We are not superstars, but we are city celebrities. And to take our platform and to keep it moving, it's a fantastic thing to do.
I love how you said city celebrity. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
You ladies are both interviewers of your respected trades in terms of being journalists. So I want to ask you, what are some of the topics that you enjoy talking about? Is there ones that you thought were maybe controversial, or ones that's just to the point? Or was there ones that you really enjoyed just talking about, interviewing people? We'll start off with Antionette.
Well, thank you, Omar. And it's so funny that you talk about this, because you remember I pivoted. I started both of my first podcasts back in 2017 as an interview. The first one was Social Media Sunday with the Delaware blogger, and that was live hour Sunday. And I would bring in local, like city celebrities. I love that, Elizabeth. I'm going to snatch that from you.
Yes.
City celebrities from all over. And it got to the point that it became so popular that people were reaching out and asking, can I be on your podcast? And of course, I would research them. And then when I started interviewing out and about with Antionette on Anchor, I was doing the same thing. I was kind of reaching out to people in Delaware, but then people were finding me on LinkedIn, and they were coming from Canada and from, different content. I mean, people were really reaching out, and I love that. And for some strange reason, I said, you know what, I'm tired of the interview. And I guess, because when you have an interview, you're kind of, shackled to the person and their time, So I started my podcast, and it's just me. I just talk about training, podcasting, and training on blogging. And now the bug has bit me. I'm going to revive. You're the first to hear about it. Second, third, fourth. You're the fourth or fifth person to hear about. I'm going to actually revive Out and About with Antionette and put the blogging podcast on hold, because I enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy people all over the world. I was interviewed on a podcast in Australia. I mean, it is so wonderful to meet and greet people all over the world. So yes, that's why I'm coming back. I'm gonna bring Out and About with Antionette back this summer. So watch out, world. I want to talk to other people.
Marcella?
Well, you know what? I've been thinking about Around Town with Elizabeth Perkins, and I am going to bring my show back, Around Town with Elizabeth Perkins. And I got to say that, when I was interviewing people. I was interviewing like the governor, the mayor. I have interviewed with Omar. I have interviewed with the police, the sheriff. I've interviewed with so many people because I want to bring our community back together. I'm all about rebuilding and restructuring families. So it was all about how we can come together in a unity and to understand each other. And I always tell everyone, no matter what is going on, we all want peace, and we all want, that family bonding, and we all are presented on this earth as one people. We were all put here to share and learn from each other. There was no racism. God made no mistakes when he put everybody here. So when it comes to racism and being a crossbreed or a mixed breed human being, I don't label myself as anything but a human being, because I can't denounce anything that is my mom or my father. So, I just want people to understand that, and to bring my show back around town with Elizabeth Perkins. It's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, I've interviewed you before, especially in particular with shows we did on domestic violence, and you have shared with the community that you're a survivor of domestic violence. For women who are being physically, sexually, verbally, emotionally abused, what do you say to them in terms of thinking about trying to get out the relationship? And then, but before you answer that question, if you care to share, how did you come with the courage to finally get out the relationship? Because a lot of people from the outside, they think it's so easy. When people say for financial reasons, emotional reasons, that they don't want to be alone. I mean, you know this as much as I do, but just talk about how you came to cope with making the decision that it's time to go.
I made that decision. Well, I am a survivor, and it's something that you had touched on, that I am a survivor, and right now I'm dealing with the man that raped me at 11, and I have to face him in court again April the 20th, because now he wants parole. So I have to deal with that, and it sits with me. It's always with me. And if you're in a relationship also where someone, like I explained when on the show before, when I divorced my husband, he tried to kill me because he was obsessed. He had an obsession because I was modeling. I was doing so much things that he had an obsession, and it really wasn't with me. It was like the status of who I am. And I got out of the relationship because it was not healthy. When it became volatile to me, it was already mental abuse. I had to get myself help without him knowing it. I had to also raise my children. I never told my children or down talked him to my children, because I wanted them to be safe as well. And when it came down to it, I had to step out on faith and say, if I get out of this relationship, he will stalk me. And he did stalk me for 5 years. And that's when he found me and he tried to stab me to death. But I was strong, and I had to do it for my children, and I fought back. But I had to think, because I've been with this man for so many years, what can I do to deflect all of that anger that he has so I can get away? And then when I did do just that, it's a mental game that he was playing with me. So I had to get the courage to get that mental back, to play it back on him, because if I didn't do that, I would not be here today. So he was not healthy for me. He was not healthy for my children. And when it became volatile and physical as that, and the stalking, you must report, step out on faith. If I didn't do it, like I said, I wouldn't be who I am today. And this had happened in 2005. So if you have a fear to say, I'm not going to make it, step out on faith. It took me 3 years. We was homeless, living in a motel for 3 years. And I had to sit down and I had to explain this to my children, why I left, and explain to them that they did not do anything wrong. You really have to explain to these children, it has nothing to do with them. This is an adult issue, and I'm going to protect you at every step of the way. And you're not just doing it for you, you're also preserving your children's future. Because if you stay in an abusive relationship, your daughters will see that this is how a man is supposed to be treating you, because mommy accepted it. a young man that you are raising as a son will say, well, this is how you treat women because daddy treats mommy this way and it's acceptable. You have to step out on faith. If you don't have anywhere to go, think I can go to a motel, I can go to a women's shelter, I can go to a friend, and just do it. You have to. And you have to also report, 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 report. And in the end, you win. And now it's like I'm done with that situation. But it does it does show the red flags that I wasn't seeing when I first got into relationships. So I'm very, very cautious.
So being a survivor of domestic violence, would you say this is why you have a passion to help women and children?
Yes, I didn't get help, but I had a great lawyer, which is his name was is Alex Smalls, which became the Supreme Court lawyer judge,
Yeah,
the Supreme Court judge here in our state. So I wanted to speak for other children because there's so many children and that are out here and that's not speaking up. I worked at Ferris Detention Center and I worked at Grace and Snowden Cottage. And I'm gonna tell you, there are children that's in these streets because there's something going on in home and they're not speaking out about it. I was counseling there and I remember young ladies there and the young men there were saying, you know, they were being molested at home. There was a young girl that left home because she was being molested by a mommy's boyfriend. And then she got raped in the streets. And I said, did you tell anybody? She said, no, because nobody's going to listen to me. We have to stop putting fear in our children. We have to stop that. And that's not good because that don't see, don't hear, don't tell. That's not good for our children. We need to preserve their future and build them up and make them stronger. Because if we don't do that, we're definitely going to lose them. That's why we're losing our children to the streets now, and black on black crime is higher than before.
right. Antionette, you're in a sorority. You want to talk about your experience being in a sorority because I know you represent. I know you love your sorority sisters. Just talk about what sorority you're involved with, and talk about the unity among the sisters in your organization.
Well, what I'd like to do is to applaud Elizabeth. You know, I sat here and I listened to her, and I'm sure their stories go way deep. I mean, I have never been in an abusive relationship. My mother was. I used to see it. That was, you know, like a bit back in the '60s, and I always vowed that I would never, ever, ever, never be in an abusive relationship simply due to the fact that I saw my mom, you know, like Elizabeth said, you know, when you allow it, when a woman allows it or when it happens, and I'm not going to even try to touch on it because I'm not, you know, I'm not there, but it would be like, are you okay? Or if that is acceptable. And I remember, you know, thinking to myself that I was never going to let that happen. You know, my sister, unfortunately, she was killed in a car accident in 1992. She was 29, but I don't know if she was ever in a physical abusive relationship, but I know she was in mental abusive relationships.
Okay.
And when I met the guys, you know, that did this, I was in their face. I'm like, you're not going to do this to my sister. And I'll never forget, Omar, Elizabeth, when my sister was killed, we had the service down in Dover, and one of the guys that was emotionally, psychologically, or physically abusive to her had the audacity to show up at the funeral. And I looked at him like, are you out of your mind? You know, what are you doing here? So, you know, and again, I teach my sons, you know, you never touch a woman. You never, ever, ever touch a woman. You just, no, you don't. You know, my husband has walked away many times. I know he wanted to knock me the heck out, but he walked away. And that's a man. That's what you got to do, because, you know, you got to walk away. I don't care if it's her fault, your fault, the whole world's fault. You never hit, you know, somebody that you profess to love. So I don't even want to talk about the sorority. I just want to say to Elizabeth, you know, God bless you, sis. You know, I'm so honored to be, you know, on with you. And I'm just glad that you are out there doing what you're doing, you know, helping other women, because you have to, we have to help each other. I mean, if we don't help each other, no one's going to help us. So Omar, yeah, I'm in a sorority, but that didn't even seem like it should have been a segue. And I apologize that I went off script, but Elizabeth's story was just much better than mine.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
Both you ladies are strong and powerful ladies.
Yes.
We have some issues that have been going on over the last several years. We have the Black Lives Matter movement, and we have right now the attack on the Asian
The
culture.
community, yeah.
Well, so what are your thoughts in terms of what's going on in regards to the social movement? We got the court case now going on with having Mr. George Floyd. I mean, I've been watching that on CNN. The courtrooms. It's been very intense and emotional for the witnesses. What are your thoughts in regards to we've been marching, we've been protesting, we've been demonstrating, Black Lives Matter, stop the Asian hate. I mean, it's a lot going on. Have you two ladies been involved in the movement, or have you been keeping up with what's going on?
Elizabeth, you can, well, I since I started, but yes, initially, with the Black Lives Matter movement, now it's 2 summers ago, pre-COVID, when, George Floyd and Aubrey and all the other, deaths, Breonna's death, it's secular. We see this. I mean, again, I grew up in the 60s. What's happening now is no different. It's just being recorded. It's no different. It's just being recorded. And I'll never forget, my sons, they grew up in Middletown, Delaware, suburbia, the McMansions. And I remember when my son was just young and, he thought he could walk the neighborhood with all the other little boys and be all right. And I said, Malik, you cannot do that. If something jumps off, they're going to blame you. No, mom, you're prejudiced. No, mom, you're prejudiced. Okay, so mom is prejudiced. Then he, on the high school football team, and he's running, getting his exercise, and somebody called him the N-word. It scared him. I'm like, that's normal. That you're going to hear that. Then he went to Bowie State University, DC, Prince George County, and he saw this. I'm like, he came back and apologized. It took him like 20 years to realize, no, mom's not prejudiced. She's realistic. So, and then watching, it's just, it's so frustrating. It's so very frustrating that people look at our color. That's the first thing they see, and they make a determination that we're not this, we're not that. And I believe someone has shared a video. I didn't watch the NAACP Image Awards, but they shared the videos of some commercials that Procter and Gamble produced, and it's called Widen the Screen. And what it is, it shows you, how narrow-minded people are when they see a Black person, a Black kid, a Black adult, Black male. And it goes through this, and then it opens up, widen up, and you see what's going on. And it's not negative. It's all positive. It's a great video. You got to watch the video to really appreciate it. But we are people. And like Elizabeth said, we're all the same under the skin. So I was always hoping that, once this particular generation died off, that it would be gone. But it's too deeply rooted, because now those younger generations, we saw it with, the insurrection on the Capitol. It's so deep, yeah. It's sickening. So, I don't know about, my husband said I need to be carried, because now you can't even go grocery store. You can't even go to the grocery store. Somebody's shooting somebody up because it's, you got to pray, push and pray. And I mean, it's heartbreaking, because I am the mother of 2 Black sons. I am the wife of a Black man. So when they walk out the door, my protection ends. It's the prayers that I ask to be covered, but they're out there, and the cops see them, and other people see them, and they don't see them the way I see them, that I know the goodness in them. So yeah. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, because it's the same as it was 40, 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah. And I agree with you on everything. It's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. There is no compassion at all. There is, and I'm gonna say this, I was born in 67 as well. So when I'm seeing the racism that's going on and still going on, okay, racism is an epidemic, just like this COVID that we're dealing with. Racism and hate is like an epidemic. That's what I call it. And I say to my people, and that's why I wrote my book, which was Journey of Faith. When we embrace the N-word, okay, we embrace this same word, but yet how you can have a love-hate relationship with it. Just extinguish it. Just extinguish it. Respect is respect of self, period. And for me, I can't see anyone as a minority using the N-word for themselves as a form of self-love. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. And to see all the racism that's going on, this has been going on. Enough is enough. You should not have to sit back and say, oh, let's investigate, let's check a little bit more. No, you see what it is. You see what it is, and it's still going on because we still have racism in the White House. We still have racism in our government. We still have racism in our community. We still have racism within our own self. That's why we still have black on black crime. Okay. When Black Lives Matter came, it was such a joy. There is a rainbow after the rain, but to still throw dirt and mud on it with the self-hate, with the racism. First, we have to get rid of the racism. We have to get rid of the hate itself. Because me, myself, I have a lot of opinions on this racism, this N-word. God said, do not worship any engraved images, but yet the same cross that we adorn on our chest is the same cross that was burned on our lawns, saying, and get out. I do not like that at all. I cannot embrace that analogy. I can't embrace the N-word. If I hear it said, I'm so offended, and somebody else is using it for themselves as a form and as a term of self-love, or this is a self-love. No, that's not love. That's still burning the hate within your own self. And I had a friend that I thought she was my friend, and I just embraced her as a sister. And I remember her saying, you know, Elizabeth, you're an author, you have a talk show, you're an actress, you have an organization. And she said to me, you only got that because of the color of your skin. No, I got it for hard work.
Wow.
I got it because I use my brain. And I looked at her, and to see a sister, a queen, to say that to me, it broke my heart. I disassociated myself because I see that when I'm trying to promote change, some people don't want change. Some people like to stay where they are. That's why I wrote my book, Journey of Faith. You have to step out on faith. You have to get rid of the negative, recreate your circle, recreate yourself in this realm that we call life. Because if we don't do it, the world is just gonna, it's already cindering. It's already cindering. The smoke is there. My son, I sent him away, and I tell everybody, I sent my son away to school, because if he'd stayed here in my city where the gangs are, and my son was shot because they have the initiations and they want to go shooting somebody, my son was one that got shot. And if I didn't do that and send my son away after I got him out of the hospital, that was the most worst thing that a mom could hear, to come to the hospital by an officer that can't even tell you what's happening until you get to the hospital. And now my son is in the military. And I'm so glad, because my son is not fighting in these streets. He's fighting for us in this world. And for us to even promote or bring change, it has to start with us. We queens, we have to stop wanting to call ourselves the BI word. We have to start calling ourselves queens. We have to start resonating for who we are as human beings. We have to stop using the N word. I'm not in love with an N. I want a man in my life. Okay, not a boy trying to be a man. I don't want the stigmatism of racism to keep just unfolding itself. You got to close that door. And by closing that door, you have to be the strongest link in the chain and mean it. It starts with you. Stop looking around and looking at everybody else to do it. Stop pointing the finger. And first of all, another thing, we need to stop judging people, because we all make mistakes. We all are human, but we have to start judging people and start loving people. That's what we have to do. We have to stop looking at your race, your sex, your gender. We are human beings. I breathe the same air as you. I drink the same water as you. I need the same sunlight you do. I live on the same planet you do. I have feelings. I have emotions. And yes, I have trials and tribulations. And when I want to speak out and say, this is wrong, now you want to slap me down. Racism is prevalent, real, and it's higher than before. It cannot extinguish itself until everybody, even government, steps in and says, enough is enough. You see what's going on. Stop it. You have the power. But when you have the power, it goes to your head. So power is prevalent in this organization that we call life, and we are destroying it.
And I think that we have to promote more positivity, because there is a lot of positivity out here. But if we concentrate on the negative, because everything is not, going to be rainbows and sunshine. So if we continue, like you said, we have to uplift each other. Let's share those stories on social media. Let's put out those images on TV. Let's put those images on radio. Let's put those images on Zoom and the podcast. So we can't give up. We got to keep going. Got to keep going and keep fighting. Positive. Like I said, Omar, you have been doing from the day one, from the day that I met you, you have been very positive in everything that you have done. And even when things didn't go in your favor, you could have flipped the script and became a very negative person, but you didn't. You said, okay, it's not my time. I need to figure out a way to make it my time. And for you to keep opening up the opportunities to share and present positive, you're doing it, bruh. You're doing the darn thing. And that's what we have to do, Elizabeth. We just have to keep pushing. Just because it's not going to be good today doesn't mean we stop. We got to keep on keeping on, keep pushing, keep pushing, and to the point that because we know there's a lot more positivity than there is negativity.
Right.
That we don't promote that. We're so quick to point out the negative stuff. Yes, we see what's going on with George Floyd. Yeah, we saw what was going on with Trayvon Martin. Yes, we saw what was going on with the brother in LA back in the 80s. So this is not new, but let's promote positivity. Let's show that, the people that saw George being murdered, because he was murdered, they're coming. And you know what impressed me, Omar and Elizabeth, that each and every witness was intelligent with their words. It was look, this is the fact. I'm not here for glory and fame. I'm here to tell the truth. And as long as we stay focused and tell the truth, we'll rise.
I agree.
So I want to go back to a point you made earlier. Was this another African American woman you said that said you got where you got because being a talk show host and a journalist because of your race? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay, now this is an African American female. You said, okay. So basically, when she's saying that the fact that you were lighter skin with straight hair, is that why she said that? I'm just trying to get some clarification.
I do believe that is why she said it. That your hair, you're a mixed breed and things like that. But this is the self-hate that we have. When I'm saying to black on black self-hate, we were trained once upon a time to hate and capture and kill each other, and it's still embedded in our minds. And that's why I say the Willie Lynch letter, I did put it in my book, Journey of Faith, because a lot of us have not read it, and a lot of us need to read it. And when I look at another Black sister, I look at her as a beautiful woman that is using her mind to get what she wants in this world. Success cannot come just because the way you look. It got to come with your mind. You have to work for it. You have to really work for it. And it takes time and patience to get where you want to be. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here. She is the same woman that I was bringing in on my organization to uplift her. And because she's seen that I was flourishing a little bit more along, because I've been in the business as long as she had before, longer than she has been, she didn't understand that why me helping her that she wasn't flourishing, but she wasn't flourishing because I wanted her to come on my show. I wanted her to, let the community and everyone know who she is, to promote her business. I was doing all of these things, and though she didn't come on my show, I was still promoting her business. I was still doing promos free to her to try to uplift her, but I don't know, it just did not. It just came out like. And then I was doing radio, and then I'm doing TV and radio, and she just went off and said, you know what? You just got it because of what you look like. You're a half breed, you're light skinned, your hair and everything. And I'm looking, and it hurt me. That was the first time that I ever felt that, being a woman of color.
So let me ask a follow-up question. What was her skin complexion?
She was darker than you, Omar.
Okay, all right. Well, this is why I asked. Growing up, I saw this movie. I guess we all saw the movie School Days with Spike Lee.
Yeah.
And he was saying how, you had the dark-skinned woman versus the light-skinned woman. And just being a woman, period, I want to ask you, ladies, as African-American women, do you two believe that African-American women love each other? Do you get along, or is there always a competition thing among women? Because sometimes, if you're in the workplace, and you're a man, you may sit back, you may observe things in the workplace or any other type of environment, and you may see some conflict among females. You may see some competition among females, just looking from the outside. So let me ask you two. You two are ladies. Do Black women get along? I know it might be a tough question, but it's just something that's popped in my head. So when things pop in my head as a journalist, I got to ask.
I do think that we do, and Elizabeth and I are of a particular age that we've went through a lot. I remember when my grandmom told me, she said, Tony, don't think that your light skin, good hair gonna get you anywhere. It's what's inside. And from that point on, I never thought that, my complexion or my hair or anything was gonna get me anything more. I feel that if you want to surround yourself with positivity. The saying, iron sharpens iron. So if I'm around women that are exceeding, I feel good. I may not have everything that they have, but just like Elizabeth sat here and she said she had TV and radio, I'm like, oh my God, she's got all that. That's wonderful. But she's got a backstory. Now, if I had to go through what she went through to get where she is now, I wouldn't want it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we should applaud each other. We should applaud each other's success no matter what. Because if your sister girl or your friend or your associate is successful, that means you're successful because you're surrounded by successful people. So if you have a problem, that's why I tell people, especially being a social media manager, if you can't handle it, get off of social media or use your phone and swipe up. Because again, if you can't handle it, you can't handle it. It's not the individual. But I love when I see the queens doing well. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my friend. Oh my God, that's my Facebook friend. Look at her go. And I'm like, whoa, that means I'm in good company. So, I think that, there is going to be it's human nature. It's human. It's not a Black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a brown thing. It's not an Asian thing. It's just a human thing. If you got to remember, everyone's gift is different. God gave each person a different gift. So I can't do, TV and radio. I got to do podcasting and blogging. But that doesn't mean my gift is less than her gift or her gift is less than, because we're each here put for a purpose. I believe that God gave us life. That's our gift. And what our gift back to him is what we do with that life. So if I can sit here and I can help somebody, and I love help, Omar, I love helping. I very rarely ask for money. I don't know why, but very rarely, because if I ask for money, I would be like, I would be banking. But I enjoy helping people. It's not about the money, because I got food, I got clothes, I'm blessed, I woke up. So again, I think that we are, because that's human, that's that human thing. But if we step back and say, you know what, I'm surrounding myself with other people that are doing positive things, that's reflective of me. That's reflective of me. I'm in that company, so that means I must have something going on too.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always say, pick your friends, like you would go shopping and pick your good fruit. I'm not going to pick, rotten fruit. I want to be surrounded by positive people. And when I do meet other queens and they are trying to come up, I'm going to help them up. I'm always trying to be helping. Like, again, like you said, I never want to ask for a monetary. I'm always saying, if you got a coat, if you got a blanket, so I can take them to, homeless shelters and things like that. But I look for positive energy in someone that I can help grow, and then also that can help me grow. And I do believe that women do generally get along, but I can't put myself in a group where, like I said, if you guys are calling each other the B word, this is not my lane. I stay in my lane where my queens are, and they stay in their lane where their queens are. Is this some things you just have to have a rapport with people that's going in the same direction as you. I can't get in a lane and I'm walking backwards and I have no eyes in the back of my head and everybody in that lane is going forward, because I don't know, I don't know the language. I don't speak the language, and it's just not comfortable for me. So I stay in a lane where the positive queens are, that are doing something that I can help them grow, and I can get something from them to help them grow, because it like I said, it never has to be monetary. It's the thought process that counts.
For those of you watching Showtime TV, this is Women History Month special. I have Antionette Blake and Elizabeth Perkins on the show. Leadership. Both of you ladies are in leadership positions. Rashada, with your organization, Antionette, with your podcast, talk about your experiences as being leaders. I mean, when I first started the series, I think one of the series, my very first one was Women in Leadership. So both of you ladies are in leadership positions. Talk about your experiences as being a leader. The pains, the struggles, the enjoyment, all that good stuff. Antionette?
Oh, I was gonna let Elizabeth go first because I want to think about this. Go ahead, Elizabeth, you go.
Oh my God.
Elizabeth, you lead. Go, go, go.
Oh my God. Leadership, for one, that is a very strong position. You always have to think, therefore you are, and think before you speak. Being in leadership, it is hard, and sometimes you have to make, for me, it have to make executive decisions, and I make strong calls. And when I'm in work mode, I'm in beast mode, because things have to be right. I's got to be dotted, T's got to be crossed. And for me to step in it, a lot of people will back off from you, because a lot of people are like, she's not approachable. And then if she is approachable, I want to be I want to be around her for something. And then you have to watch out. And like I said, an endangerment of friends, that people that want to be around you, that has nothing but hurt for you. So you have to always be cautious. I'm a very cautious person. A lot of people that know me, they say, oh, that's the mouth of the South, because I'm going to say what I'm going to say, but I'm going to just tell you, it makes me stronger and it makes me push forward. I always say, stay the course and what I'm doing. And being in leadership, it is an air of prestige, and you cannot take it lightly. You cannot take it lightly, because you can be here today and you can burn tomorrow. So, therefore you have to be very careful what you say, the things that you do, and also know that everywhere you go, someone is watching. Everywhere you go. And sometimes for me, like you said, Omar, what is the downsides of it? Sometimes for me, I don't want people to know who I am, because when people know who I am, it's like, I feel like I'm being interviewed, off the cuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not here for that. So it's sometimes I don't want to be seen. With the COVID and with the mask, it feels good a little bit, because I could be sitting in my car, which has happened to me several times. I could be sitting in my car, or I could be somewhere and they'll pull up on me and say, oh my God, aren't you Elizabeth Perkins? Da, 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 da. And one time I was in the car waiting for my my daughter-in-law to come with my grandson. She just had him, and it's awkward moments, and it's like these are the downsides. Sometimes I just don't want people to know who I am, but when I'm really making a point and being out here speaking, yeah, I want you to know who I am and let you know that I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, Omar, it's a good question because I think that, with leadership, it comes with just the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Not everyone, like Elizabeth said, not everyone is going to be in your lane. And I have, I'm very insular. I don't have a lot of girlfriends. I've got one bestie from third grade and another bestie that, from Nurshell, and that's kind of it. Like, I don't, that's it. I'm not calling up girlfriends. I'm not going out. I mean, because my family, my husband, my kids, I mean, I'm just like that. So, I lead my life the way that I would think that others should lead their, like, mind your business, do your job and get it done, period. But if when I'm put in a position of leadership to take the role of something, which I've done, years ago when I was in corporate America, but right now I'm leading my own life and I'm loving my life. But if, say, for example, Elizabeth and I were working on a project and she wanted to take the lead role, I'm gonna back her 110% because she knows what she wants to do. I'm there to support her. And I'm hoping that vice versa. Okay, this is mine. We got to do this. And, and if there's a way to do things. So your leadership style, when you're looking and thinking about leaders, even though you're insulated or insular or, even introverted, like Elizabeth, she likes to be an introvert. And you can obviously tell I'm not. I'm a very extroverted person. But again, it's like your style and how do you come across, how are you, because not everyone's going to have the same vision that you have. And if they can't, follow suit or do the things that you ask them to do, you should be a leader enough to say, okay, you know what? I got this, or I can help you. Let me get somebody else to help you, navigate this, because as leaders, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And like Elizabeth said, you get, Elizabeth, you need a break. You need a break. Me, I got it. I got this. And I go and I do what I need to do. If it's not what you want, hey, okay, let's try it a different way. But leadership is also being able to realize that you can't do it all and that you need help and that you need to have somebody that's going to be a good partner for you, whether it's a man, a woman, a kid, or whatever. And then you take the role and you say, okay, I got this. Okay, now let's work this together, because if we don't do it together, it's just not going to work. It's just really not going to work. It's too, it's too much. But I'm saying that from a boomer. Now, if I'm a young chick and I'm just starting out fresh from college, that's a whole nother thing. I've been there. I don't even want to go back. With age comes wisdom. No, I'm here. All right, Elizabeth, what you need? I got you. And then I'm keep on keeping on. I ain't got time for all the dumb stuff.
Yeah, that is true. And I'm very picky of who I come out to. Like, if somebody was to say, Elizabeth, can I do an interview with you? I would, no. But for Omar could say, I need you on the show. And I'm like, Omar, I'm there. When do you need me? What time do you need me? And where you need me? So it's people that be like, that tries to get me to come out. But, Elizabeth, I'm not going to do that. I'm coming out.
All right, so look, Elizabeth, when I bring back Out and About Antionette, when I call you up, don't let me have to go to Omar and say, Omar, get Elizabeth on my show.
I'll be on your show.
Good. I'll let him take the lead.
Yes.
Ladies, with this being Women's History Month, I want to ask you, I mean, I know you probably got many women, but if you can name maybe 2 or 3, with this being Women's History Month, who are some of the women that you come to admire, or who are some of the women that shaped you to be the lady that you are today? Whoever wants to go first can.
Okay, I'm going to go first. First, I'm going to say it's my mother-in-law, my children's grandmother. She's a master sergeant. She is the head of ICU at Christiana Hospital. And when I was younger, she took me in as one of her children. And I didn't know I was going to marry her son at the time, but she taught me everything that I needed to know. Another woman that I would name, she has passed on, her name is Rosalind Ellis, and she took me in under foster care, taught me to pray, taught me how to set a table, taught me how to make a bed directly and things like that. It's not too many people that's in my circle that I can say 3 people, but I can name 2, and then I can also name myself, because I take myself into situations and I don't say I can't do it. I say I can do it and I'm going to do it. So I have to be proud of myself as well. So that's my three women.
And Elizabeth, we're so here because
Yes.
like I was gonna say the third person, that's me. No, let me stop. Of course, my grandmother, had she not taken my sister and myself in, because like I said, my mom was going through it. She was not meant to be a mother. My father was not meant to be a father, but there was the reason that they brought us into this world, and my grandmom took us in. So my grandmom obviously was my rock. She's was the best person in my life. She made me who you see right now.
Right.
She made me. And like I said, she lived to be 98 years old. I miss her every day. I got her portrait there. And I see her right there, every day, just looking at me, smiling, saying, Tony, because she was my rock. She was just like my cheerleader. And then next to her is a portrait of my sister, who, like I said, she left this world way too soon. She was 29 years old when she was killed in a car accident. And she was my ace spoon coon, my running buddy, my rock. I miss her. I mean, it's been 29 years, but I still see her every day. I got these guys in my office here. But if it wasn't for them two, you wouldn't see me right here. And then, like Elizabeth said, me, I had to take all that they gave me, and just do what I meant to do. And I hear their voices, and I see their faces every day. And I just go, God, thank you for putting them in my life. Thank you for giving me the 98 years, the 29 years. But, when you have those memories, they never die. They never die. They're always there. So yeah, my grandma, my sister, Gloria, and of course, myself.
There you go.
And actually, pre-COVID, you were also doing lectures and seminars, right?
Yes, sir. I missed that. Oh man, I missed that. Yeah, I was actually had just right under the COVID pandemic. I had a podcasting workshop here in Smyrna. But that you mentioned that opening up in April, the podcasting booth, the Blake's Booth Podcasting Studio coming to Middletown, Delaware. We're opening up on the 8th of April. We're gonna have the great pre-launch. I'm the man, you know what? God is good. You work for something, you just take your time. You like Elizabeth and I was saying, we see everybody else doing the darn thing, going, when's my time? But now I'm not going to worry about it because God puts things and plans for you. But yeah, I was doing presentations, and I'm getting out again. So on the 24th of April, I'm going to be doing a presentation on social media for small businesses at a local church. Elizabeth, you probably know the church. They're part of the Purple Code. We got to connect afterwards, but I'm going to be doing a social media presentation with them April 24th. And then, of course, we're opening up, home podcasting studio, going to have something on the 8th and the 15th, COVID compliant. And then also in April, May, June, I'm speaking at a podcasting convention. I mean, things are just opening up. I mean, I'll be so glad. I got my shot. So I got my first dose of vaccine. So I'm gonna get my second dose of vaccine. I'm still gonna mask up, but yeah, you know me, I love being in front of people. I've always done that. I did the social media conferences in DC, social media conferences in Delaware. I just love to talk, and I love to be in front of people, and I love I just love life, so yeah. Yes. I don't know if I asked your question, because when you said that, I was like, I got all excited.
You're doing good. You're doing good. So as we close out the show, I just want to let people know that Maria Cabrera, we were texting each other a little back and forth.
Love Maria.
Yes.
She was unable to attend tonight. So.
Oh, okay.
But we'll make it up. But as we close out today's program,
wait a minute, I give Elizabeth her prop. What's she gonna be doing? Are you gonna be talking, girl?
I'm working on some books now. I'm trying to get 2 published by the end of the year. Also, like I said, I'm on TikTok and I'm loving it. That's Omar's fault, but Omar's got me on the stage. I'm doing stage plays. So I'm doing TikTok, I'm doing acting there, I'm doing singing there. But I'm like I said, we're gonna link up, and I'm gonna get on this podcast thing because it was posed to me so many times. I did love doing radio, so why not come back to it and throw it on my YouTube, and there's another platform that we are successfully stepping up, speaking out, and getting the message out.
Okay, so as we close out the program, I'll give you ladies about a minute each. People are watching and want to contact you. If any words of encouragement or whatever you want to say, about a minute or two. So Who's first?
Well, I'll go first. Thank you. First of all, Omar, again, thank you so very much for the opportunity, for sitting in on your awesome show. You are awesome. You're amazing. I'm just so proud of you and all that you're doing. And look, you put Elizabeth and I together, so there's a reason and a season for everything. Again, you guys can find and follow me on all my social media platforms using the Linktree ID, Dell Blogger. You go to the website, which is ablakeenterprises.com, or to my blog at dellblogger.com. But my podcast is every Saturday. Your Delaware Blogger podcast is every Saturday at 10. Blog Your Way to a Business Profit is every Wednesday at 1. I'm on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the Gram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Head over to YouTube, Delaware Blogger. All my information is out there. I'm gonna be on TikTok, what Elizabeth teaches me. You know, I have an account, but I've never done it. So thank you. And the podcasting studio, Blake's booth, opening up on April 8th. Go to www.helpingentrepreneur.com/Blake's booth. It's going to be $47 per person. It's only 10 people because we're going to be COVID compliant. But you're going to walk away with not only more information, but we're going to have food. We're going to have giveaways. You're going to be able to go into the studio. It's like going to be so great. And Elizabeth, now that you are coming back out, you can probably do your recording of your radio show.
Yes.
Because that's going to be available. It's going to be open to the public. So
I'm excited.
Yep.
And you can find me. I don't do Facebook anymore, but you can find me on Facebook as author Elizabeth Perkins. And you can find me singing and acting on TikTok, which I am Beautiful Baby 05. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just enjoying life. I'm still taking donations with blankets and shoes, because we throw these things out every day and don't even think about it. Shoes, gloves, hats, anything that you can find that someone else can use, because something that you don't need can be a blessing for someone else. So yes, and if you want to catch me, you can catch me with Omar. You can talk to Omar and you can contact me. And Antionette, you can catch me through her too, because we're there now.
Good. No, I'm cutting Omar out. I'm just going to call you.
Yes. Thank you, Omar. You are awesome, Omar. I just want to say to Omar, you are my rock. If it wasn't for you, and when I know this is Women's Month, but I'm going to tell you this right here. This man, Omar Rashada, is awesome. He brought me out. My first interview got me to do television and got me to be his co-host, and then to have my own show. Omar, I love you so very much.
Oh,
you're always my heart.
It's always an honor. It's always an honor to interview you two ladies. So you'll be back on again, I'm quite sure. So.
Yes.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. Ladies, happy Women's History Month. God bless and stay safe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.